I can't see you at all.
Well, my mic doesn't work, but we're recording, and I haven't been able to figure out how it works, but we're live.
All right, we are live. Welcome. What episode is this? Moving on.
It's like
Sports
five,
episode
maybe five.
5.
Yeah,
Wow,
halfway to 10. That's
farther
pretty
than
good.
farther than many people thought we'd make it.
How many episodes do you think we'll end up doing?
Thousands,
You think thousands?
thousands. History. Yeah, people will like look back and be like, "Wow, who are these people?"
I say we either stay in single digits or we reach the hundreds. It feels like this either like peters out pretty quick or it just keeps soldering on.
I mean, I'd have fun with it.
Yeah, I
Just
kind of have
talking
fun.
sports
Yeah,
anyway.
it's
So
just kind of fun to just like bullshit. Yeah, I kind of
talking about
agree.
the world.
Yeah,
So I don't really care
yeah,
if people
same.
know it.
And if other people get enjoyment out of it, more
That's
power
great.
to them.
That's great. Speaking of college football playoffs, Notre Dame, huge win last night
Mm,
versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Probably the greatest win of my life. If I
really?
had to be, I
Seriously?
think so. I think it was
Wow.
probably the greatest win of.
I
I
didn't
mean,
know you were buzzing that much about it.
I mean, I wasn't like thinking about it in that context, but then I saw people kind of saying it, and I'm like trying to think of a better. I don't think there's a better win.
Packers Super Bowl?
Oh, Packers, yeah, but Notre Dame.
Oh, Notre Dame only. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
what
Notre
about in
Dame.
the ranks of like all sports like victories that you got pleasure from?
Uh,
Is this like a top 10, top 5?
I guess maybe top ten. I don't know. It's a little bit different when you're like watching like here kind of alone
Yeah.
at 10 o'clock at night, like the atmosphere. Like I've had fun times watching games where I don't even really care about the team. But from just like a pure like fan standpoint
Yeah.
winning, yeah, this is probably one of the probably top 10 win in my life. It's
Yeah.
been I mean
I've
it's
always had
playoffs,
like
Super
more like
Bowl.
pleasure watching stuff by myself than I have with other people. I mean,
Yeah.
like sometimes, like
Sometimes
so, yeah, like Packers Super Bowl was at a party and like I got really drunk and I don't even remember that much about the game. I remember I had a really good time, but like I don't know, like Brewers playoffs, I've watched a lot by myself and I get like titillated on it,
you get what?
like
Titillate?
just titillated, like just on the edge of my seat.
Oh yeah, it's so uncomfortable watching. I don't know. I was like so uncomfortable for the entire first half yesterday.
Yeah,
It's just sitting in this like awkward. I don't know, and you don't really have like anyone to talk to. It was
yeah,
like 1 in the morning. I'm like screaming at the TV here and clapping and stuff.
yeah.
Lauren's like, "We're gonna get a noise complaint." I'm like, "Yeah, oh well,
Yeah,
oh well."
it's almost more intense because you just kind of get in your head and you kind of just like locked in and there's like no distractions.
The timeouts and like the commercials seem so long.
Yeah,
Um, I was thinking about that though. Like, like the guys that watch, they'll like stream themselves watching like every. I see like the Bears guy a lot because he's
yeah,
always
yeah,
has like the heartbreaking videos, right? Which are
uh-huh.
hilarious.
Yeah,
But it's also kind of odd, like because to do that, I'd assume you're a huge fan and
yeah.
you're watching every single game by yourself in like your bedroom. I don't know. It's just kind of a. I don't know. I guess if it's like cool at you have your chat or whatever to talk to, I guess. But
Yeah, I think that's almost more like a performance in itself. Like I think those people are almost
yeah,
more like actors,
I
because
guess
you're
it
like
almost
playing
becomes
for the
like work.
audience. Yeah,
And that maybe would take away some of the fun for it. I don't know if it'd be fun. Like it'd be fun if you're on a stream. Like I don't know if you've ever seen the Barstool guys. It's like 10 of them
yeah,
sitting around on a couch. It's like
yeah,
whatever. You're just hanging out. I don't even really know why people watch those,
yeah. No, but
which is
probably like because
interesting.
it's like if you don't have friends, it's like it's what is that called? Like it's not visceral, but it's a parasocial relationship
It's like you're
where
living
yeah, like it's
life
like oh
with.
I'm like virtually with them, even though I'm not, So it's like if you don't have friends, like oh these are my friends, I get to know them, I'm part of like this community, this group.
I think I just really underestimated how powerful that is because like people stream, people watch people play video games, people watch people just like sit around, people watch people. I don't know all
Hmm.
the shit nowadays. It's like people. You're, it's not even like they're doing anything that exciting all the time. They're just
Hmm.
watching other people to do. I don't know what. I don't know if they're just like looking for something, or if they're just bored, or just the need the content and the addiction, or whatever it is. But
Yeah, I think it's half like Truman Show, where it's like, okay, I'm not living my life, so I get to watch other people live their life, and like that makes me kind of feel like I'm living my life. Another aspect I think is just like background noise, where like it seems like the TV like it's very much a second screen type activity, and so like someone playing a video game, it's like mildly entertaining, but it's not something you have to focus on. Like I know I watch like I'll watch like people do video games like to go to bed, and it's like kind of like it's like one I think it's like entertaining because they're like a lot better at the game like strategy games than I am, and so it's kind of interesting just
yeah,
see like what people like oh like how they're like
think
oh
about
that makes sense and like their process and stuff, and then like compare it to my ability, but also it's like interesting enough where I can like kind of focus on it, but like it's more interesting than like me getting deep in my thoughts and I can't fall asleep. But then I'm kind of realizing now that I don't like I always thought this helps me fall asleep, but like I think it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. Like one like the past 2 nights, what I've been listening to, it's like a 4 hour. This guy kind of like in a monotone voice. It's a 4 hour like just play by play of like the U.S. Iraq invasion, like when they invaded Iraq, and it just shows like every single little thing that happens. And like
crazy.
that's yeah, like I'll listen to 30 minutes of it and I'll be out. Like it's like the perfect sweet spot of like kind of interesting, but like the voice is really monotone and flatline that I like fall
Yeah,
asleep and
it's
I'm
very
not like
exciting.
worried about missing anything. Yeah. It's yeah.
It's a good one actually. That'd be interesting to hear. There's a lot of like I don't know history like that that I just like
Yeah.
to. It's also complicated and it's all like kind of related to each other and I don't know what the hell is going on in the world right now.
A lot. I think like there's always been like that. Yeah, it's just like with like you can privately get satellites, and boots on the ground, ease of sharing information. It seems we know so much more of what happens in every little corner of the planet, except for
Yeah,
Africa. Seems like no one ever really knows or cares what happens in Africa, which just it's just kind of funny to me. I don't know because it's so
it's just
big. Africa
bizarre.
is so big. I've like
Uh,
always vastly underestimated how big Africa is.
I just saw this crazy. I'll try to find this picture of it was like the measurement of Russia compared to Africa
Yeah. Okay.
on the map, and it was like because you know how the maps they always show Africa or Russia is like the biggest country,
Hmm.
and I think from like the far east to the far west of Russia, it's 6,400 kilometers.
Okay. Oh, you're in kilometers now, huh?
Well, this is just like the meme I saw, whatever the thing I
Okay.
saw.
I wonder if I can
Russia.
write on your thing because that'd be kind of fun for me to do.
Here, actually, this is it. Maybe it was on Reddit.
Oh, stop writing screen share. Dang.
There we go. Can you see this now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It says 6,400 here. Seven. This is 7,200. So an
Yeah.
eighth long.
Yeah. It's the Mercator projection. Like, I think we need a new globe,
Yeah, for sure.
but it like
Because it doesn't give us a good understanding about things at
yeah,
all.
but it's because of like how you wrap it around. See if I can because
Yeah, the
I saw
circle.
one and it looks so weird.
Yeah, like an
Realistic
actual size globe,
by actual.
like one of these ones.
Yeah, like yeah, but I think it doesn't that doesn't put into context.
There's real size.
Yeah, like how big it actually is.
So Sam, here
I see it.
the red is real, and blue is what the like. Look at Greenland. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I always thought Greenland was so big.
I did
I think
too.
it because it wraps around the top, so it like gets shifted.
It's actually kind of funny because
Yeah.
yeah, I always think about Greenland as being like this big thing too.
But they kind of nailed Australia there. That was pretty close to it. All right, college football. So let's save Notre Dame for the end. The Texas game, good for Arizona. That's Scabozo, Scabidity, whatever that dude was. Pretty awesome for
Scataboo.
him. Scadaboo, yeah. Awesome performance for him. The defense, just college football always infuriates me. I guess it happened in the NFL too, but I don't know, just for whatever reason, when there's like a blown coverage in college, it just feels worse than an NFL for some reason. Because it
Yeah,
feels like it's more of a skill issue of like thought than an NFL where it's like a skill issue of like the wide receiver being so good or something. I don't know. I don't know why, because
yeah.
it's like the
They're like
same
a really
outcome.
good.
Yeah,
It's like you give like more credit to the NFL, like oh, really good
yeah.
scheme or really good route or whatever, and
Yeah,
then
like
in the college, it's like,
I'm more pro offense when it happens. I'm like, oh, they're
yeah,
so good that they beat it. But at college, I'm like negative towards the defense
yeah.
when it
It's like what
happens.
a dumbass. How could
Yeah,
you like?
exactly, exactly. And I don't know. That's obviously not
I
fair
think
because it's just
sometimes it's right. I
yeah,
think
but it's
sometimes
right
you're
for
right.
any play, right? Like because any play, someone does something good, someone does something bad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to
There's
think about it like that.
yeah, there's some crazy like plays throughout college football. Like these are some big games, and you have these moments where like I don't know, like people just do stupid penalties or they put themselves in positions to
Yeah.
like the pick Arizona State had to
Mhm.
they were down a touchdown and they got the pick. Um, and the dude like nailed the wide receiver at the same time and they reviewed it for targeting and it's like,
Yeah,
man, could you imagine if that got overturned because of a
that
targeting or
was
then the
targeting
other
though. That looked like targeting to me.
yeah, I thought it was for sure. And then the other one with the Texas guy hit him. That one looked like targeting to I saw someone actually it was like Connor Stallions, I think, the Michigan guy,
Hmm.
He said that they should make a true change to the targeting, do like a 5 yard incidental, 10 yard, um, 10 yard and no ejection if you like hit someone hard in the helmet, but you're not like
Like
leading with the
bloodthirsty.
crown. Yeah, and 15 an ejection for like the obvious like you try to murder a guy. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's a good way to do it because there is a difference between like the I don't know like the random like hits or like that people's like heads just going like lower and
Hmm.
I don't know things are moving so fast all the time. It's hard to judge.
Even more on that, like should penalties because they're like tiers, right? Like holding's 10 yards, and that seems it can either be like massive, you're saving your QB from being hit, and like so you're saving a huge play, right? Like that makes sense. But there's also just like ticky tack calls where it didn't affect the play at all, and it just
Yeah,
and then it's like a 10 yard bummer. Like I don't know if we don't have the technology now, but it'd be kind of interesting in the future instead of just having like just tiers for stuff or even refs, you have like some AI camera system where it shows like, oh, this play like saved XYZ yards by enforcing it like by doing an infraction. So it's worth like 4.4 yards in penalties, where it's all kind of like modular and like adjust to like what the actual penalty is. Because kind of like
yeah,
pass interference, right? Where it's spot of the foul, but I would almost like spot of the fouls for everything type thing.
that's interesting. What
Yeah.
if it was like how like after every play there's a win probability and it
Mm-hmm.
changes?
Mm-hmm.
What if the penalty was like a 0.1% loss in win probability for a
So it
false.
moves you to like whatever, yeah,
And then
and
they
like
would be like, all
how
right,
egregious it
at
is.
this
Yeah.
point, yeah. So it'd be like, all right, well, it's 5 yards, or here it's 2 yards, or here it's 10 yards. I don't know. You'd have to look at the math and see what makes sense, but that'd be kind of an
I kind
interesting
of like
one.
that. Yeah, I like that a lot. And actually, even the one thing that kind of also makes me think, where so say you're on like the 1 yard line, you're the offense about to score, like the defense can kind of base it, it's like first down. Defense can do
Yeah,
whatever they want,
yeah,
because you're not going to move any closer. And it feels like they don't do that. I mean, they kind of sometimes do it, but if I was them, I would just be doing it all the time because eventually the refs are just going to get annoyed and just like let shit go, right? Like I would just keep doing shit. And I think
Yeah.
you kind of burn off clock too, and it's not like you get
Yeah.
ever ejected or anything. So you could just burn off a second every single penalty, and then until the end of the game, right? And then you can't end on it. Then you actually play well, and then they have
They,
one play
they
left.
never scored.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's any rule to prevent that from happening. I guess they just decline it, but then you just like have a free rush to the QB. I don't. I mean, it seems kind of obvious to me that I'm missing something, but that feels, at least in the rules that I know, that feels like it's allowed and kind of weird that. I mean, because
I
it'd be
think it
so
is a
annoying and
lot.
dickish, but
Yeah. I think it's just kind of in the
don't be
unspoken
a dick.
rules of the
Yeah,
game.
I don't
But like
know.
I remember Akeem Talib did it in the Super Bowl. He did it against the Panthers. He was on the
Mhm.
Broncos, and he like the Panthers like got down there. I can't remember who it was, but he like face masked the shit out of someone um, on like the 3 yard line, and he got it was like a whatever penalty. I think they scored anyway,
hmm
and he was just like, "Yeah, fuck it."
Yeah, why not? And like take out your aggression, like whatever. If you have bad blood against a guy, almost like fuck him up then, and then whatever.
Yeah, yeah. He got fined 26,000 for
Oh yeah, I guess
three
fines. Like
penalties.
yeah, I guess I kind of forget about that. But those they feel
That's
like they don't
NFL though.
stack. Like you can only get fined. I think it's only once per game. Like I guess I
Yeah.
haven't seen someone do
Would you get
multiple penalties and get
every
multiple fines.
every single?
Yeah, because I think like the NFL union is like you can only be fined, I don't know, like 30, 40 grand. Which like too, like if you're like an undrafted dude, like that's kind of a fuck ton of money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The fines are insane. Like
Yeah.
and they're the same for who's one of the guys just keeps getting. Oh, Pacheco on the Chiefs. He gets fined
Yeah.
like every game just for lowering his helmet in a contact. And
Yeah.
it's like I don't even understand what the problem that he's
That's
doing
probably
his.
like half his season pay right there.
Seriously, it's
Yeah.
fucking nuts. Do you think they'll ever start finding college players?
Well, that's a good question. I think they would actually
Interesting.
have to be paid like paid like everyone
I
knows what they're paid.
Yeah, like who would find them? I guess. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I wonder, will we ever go to a high school draft for college?
That'd be wild.
That would be kind of wild. Probably not, because
Probably not that.
you get to pick
Yeah,
your
because
you get to pick your schools, but it's also pick your teams. But it's
but
more,
if
if you just go full into like sports and it's just like, okay, if you want to join this conference, you go. It's like a transfer pool, but like a graduate pool, and then you have like a draft of people. I
yeah,
don't know.
it almost becomes like I could see that actually maybe happening if like in the
Yeah,
future if colleges and like as sports continue to like kind of professionalize.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see. Like I don't know if colleges are going to be able to hold on to them honestly, and there's going to be a lot of people like just seeing dollar signs, and I think people want to like put money into it, and they want to. I think people want to like legit own teams, and
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to stop billionaires if they want to do things. So if they want
But
to
it,
own,
it kind of it's kind like like right now it's the opposite where I think people like players aren't as incentivized to go to pro leagues because they can actually like make good money right now. So
yeah,
like if you're
which
a
is
running back, why not just stay in school? Like you probably make more if you're a star running back. You make more in college than you would in the NFL, at least for the first couple of years right
definitely yeah,
now.
yeah. No,
What one
it's
thing I saw
interesting.
was is the SEC not good because
Yeah, I was going to bring
they
this up.
they don't get to like the paying thing is like evened out across the board. So all the under the table type stuff that
Yeah,
allegedly the SEC was doing, it just went away, and that's why they don't have like a talent advantage anymore.
what do you think?
I don't know that kind of holds a little bit of water to me.
I think it does too, a little bit. I think it's two things though for me, because I was thinking about that and I saw the same thing and I wanted to talk about it. It's I do think that there was more payments going on than people realized, and it seems
Yeah,
pretty obvious. Like
yeah,
every single player, former player, like who you kind of thought pretty much comes out and says like, yeah, I
yeah. I
got
got a
money like
car, I
2
got
months
clothes, I
ago
got
with
whatever.
yeah, like it was definitely happening. Basketball too.
Yeah.
And but I think the one big thing is like besides that helping is it also changed like the way other programs operated NIL.
Hmm.
So and the transfer portal. So it just like so many teams were just so like, well, we're gonna do things the right way, or we're gonna like stick to academics, or we're
Hmm.
gonna like, and now they're just like, fuck it, like we just like we can't compete like that. People don't want to watch that. I think people
Hmm.
want to like watch good teams, and I do think that the changing of the transfer portal rules to make it like you can kind of go like unlimited times and like,
Hmm.
which I'm totally cool with. I think people should be able to go to whatever
Yeah.
school they want to. I think that is the big thing because it used to always drive me nuts. Like you'd have a recruiting class and say like you have a pretty good class, but say you just were kind of weak at like D line one year.
Hmm.
You don't have like, any good D linemen. Well, now like your class, it's like for 4 years you're like missing this like group of
Yeah.
guys. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it'd be great if we had some senior D linemen, like even just for depth. Sometimes you just like
Yeah.
need bodies, and the transfer portal allows like you to build that depth or like kind of fill in teams. Like you can go out and be like, all right, well, we need to get a better safety. We need to get a better quarterback. We need to get.
Hmm.
It just allows like I think it allows more talent to play too because it allows
Because you're not
like a
blocked by, yeah, like as you just go to
yeah,
school and
exactly.
like if you're good, then you get a chance to be good somewhere.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome because you have like the schools that like aren't as good. Like you get the I don't know. There's been some surprising schools that have gotten some good transfers, honestly, and they've gone on and like done better than they probably would have. And then
Yeah.
you have like the guys at Bama, you know, they're obviously going to like go there and play well too. So I don't know. I think it just like the whole talent level is just so much better now, and it's fun,
Well,
more
so I think you said,
fun.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with what you first kind of started saying. Like, if you think of just schools by themselves, right? And okay, what's like attractive to for me to come to your university? Like Southern schools, it's like okay, so you have all the payment and stuff, and I think too the media or like not like media how like think of like CNN or whatever, but like I guess the
Yeah,
landscape of it, like Southern media, I don't think that they're not incentivized to go after like kids for getting illegal payments back in the day, right? Like I think they all kind of knew it was like, well, we're going to look the other way, right? Because we want this to succeed. So
yeah,
I think that kind of plays a factor of it, like in like that whole ecosystem and like why it happened type of thing. But it's like, okay, now you can pay everyone. So you said, all these schools they had to focus on like creating a value proposition for it's like why would you come Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, say like we're paying people but not as much as SEC guys. Like, oh well, we have good academics or we have good location
yeah,
or good like you have to come up with all these other stuff other than paying. But it's like now you get to actually pay them. It's like okay, we have all that other stuff plus or the SEC. It's like oh. Like okay, why would you want to go to like a Clemson versus a USC now, or a I don't know, Old Miss over a Notre Dame or a Michigan. Like I think it's like one. I if almost lean into it, and maybe this is the case, but it's probably because like SEC probably has hotter women almost. Where it's like that was maybe like a big draw. It's like oh, we have all these hot girls that you come to school for, but I don't know. Like I guess it'll be interesting to see it shake out, but. I don't know. This may be a ludicrously hot take, but maybe SEC disbands in like 5, 10 years because they just can't compete and they get swallowed up by another conference. Yeah,
ooh,
yeah,
Big 12.
yeah.
Pac
Big 12.
Pac 12 comeback. Pac
Yeah,
12 comes back and eats the SEC.
yeah,
I do
so,
think that like there's been stories and like recruits on campus, and I do think that at Southern schools they were a little more like just open about extracurricular activities.
sure.
Um, I mean Miami, right?
Yeah, yeah. The U.
I mean Jesus, like so. Yeah, I mean I think even Wisconsin, like they just treat their students a little bit more equal to like all
Yeah.
the other students. And in like even Kentucky, it's like you got your own basketball dorms and like everything's different. And to
Hmm.
be honest, like Butler, it's like I don't understand why any basketball player goes to Butler because it's you're in the same dorm with everyone. The practice facilities, like they were recently updated, so they're better now. But like they weren't anything compared to like a lot of these big time D1 programs. And you're
Yeah.
playing in like older gym and like everything's just a little older. And it's like, why? It's a
Yeah, why
small
would you go here?
school. It's like, why would you do that? I know it's like cool history and stuff.
Maybe if you just want to be like normal, but like
Yeah.
probably for like a lot of these superstars, not a lot of superstar. You don't have like Larry Birds out there that grow on trees, where just
No.
superstar talent that just wants to be on not in the limelight.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot of yeah, like I guess the reason you go is like you have like it seems like more times the guys they have like some ulterior motive, like they want to become a coach someday and they want to work
Hmm.
with this guy, so they'll like get a have a close relationship with the head coach or something like that. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, no, it has been interesting to see the NIL change and like it's also funny too where you have like a school like Texas, they'll just like park Lamborghinis out front when they're recruiting like on
Yeah.
recruiting
Or
and
A&M.
stuff. Like
Oh
like
shit!
a
What
row of,
we can only do it for 40 minutes.
oh shit.
Uh,
Well, it's been fun today, boys. Like and subscribe. Like and
we could.
subscribe.
Well, all right. Hold on. I
You do
will.
too?
Yeah, we should do more.
All right.
All right, we are back.
So Ohio State, Oregon. Wow.
Wow.
Um,
um, yeah.
Oregon got punched in the mouth 2 minutes in the game and pretty much never recovered. They kind of looked shell shocked. They looked slow, unexcited, nervous. I don't know. It's almost like they were just playing not to lose a little bit. I think they also felt a little bit screwed by the seeding
Hmm.
and they're like
That's fair.
a little bit of it. And I think it was a fair to feel like a little bit screwed because Ohio State was probably the best team of the no buys. Also, kind
Hmm.
of that no buy team won,
Yeah.
but um, I felt like they were like too focused on that. They were like focused on like, oh, we were screwed. It was kind of like their attitude. And Ohio State was like, fuck Michigan, fuck everyone for making fun of us. We need to prove we're good, and that's what happens. Saw it on the field. So
Yeah. And I think that Jeremiah Smith is, I mean, he is electric.
electric. Would you take him number one overall in 2025 draft?
Not for like real life football, but fantasy, like dynasty guy, like he might be it.
Wow.
I don't know, but then the Genty guy, I guess I always suffer from you watch, and it's always like playoffs or bowl games, when it gets towards the end of the season, and like some guy just pops off, and it's like, oh my God, this is the best ever, because I don't really watch that many regular season college games. So there's
Yeah.
these dudes popping off all the time that I just am unaware of. And I just see one guy one time, and it's just like, holy shit, this is the best guy ever. Like that was my issue with that Wake Forest guy. Wide receiver like AJ something. I got was like super high on him. It was just because I watched Wake Forest games and he
This
just like made catches, and I'm like, oh, this guy's awesome. But like every wide receiver, every team has not every team, but there's a lot of teams with wide receivers that make awesome catches in college. And I'm just not exposed to that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, I think it's hard to like. It's I mean, there's so many games and like the talent level is so like wide too in college
Mm-hmm.
football. So it's really hard to tell like is the cornerback like even if you're playing a good team, is the cornerback he's going against like you might be playing a tough for a wideout, for example. You might be playing a better matchup um, against a shittier team, and then you might have like a worse matchup against you know against a
Yeah.
tough. It's just kind of it's hard to tell like really what's going on all the time. And then obviously you have like those big matchups, and you'll be like, oh, the highlighted matchup of the game, like this wideout versus cornerback,
Mm-hmm.
Justin versus Jair, and you kind of like find out like, all right, is this guy a dog or not? Um, but yeah, it is tough in college to get like a gauge of kind of how good. What was the name of that wide receiver? A.T. Perry.
Yeah, AT Perry. Yep, that's who it was.
Okay, he's on the
And
same
he's had like some plays, not a lot,
the
but
Broncos. He's on the
yeah,
Broncos.
he's still okay. He's in the Broncos now.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's okay. I know, like the Wake actually has like Zach Toms from Wake.
Yeah,
One of the Rams, I think, or no, Bucks, like D Lyman is from there. Like they've had some decent dudes kind of pop off recently.
yeah. Jurgens, is that Minnesota? No, I'm thinking of Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, he's from some.
Uh, I'm like going through their list right now of draft picks.
Yeah,
Okay. Malik Mustafa.
yeah, he's on the Niners, right?
Oh, Jesse Bates. He's good.
Yeah,
He was good for a while. Zach Tom might be the best current
that's
player
guy.
in the NFL for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice. Nice. You should get a Zach Tom jersey. That'd be
I
kind
actually
of.
looked it up and like I want a Wake Forest one and I can't. Like it just doesn't exist. So I'd have to be Packers, which is all right, but it
Can you do
doesn't feel
custom?
as
Like
yeah, you can do
custom?
custom, but it's like 120, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to pay that. Like, I was just hoping that on eBay it
Yeah.
would exist, but it's probably just too rare for it to be a real thing.
Which is a shame
It is a
because
shame.
people like Zach Tom deserve more credit in the world.
Exactly. Yeah, he was like when I was looking at the Pro Bowl, he was ninth out of tackles. I mean, and there's just a lot of good tackles out there, but he definitely completely flies under the radar, which is probably at this point good because I think he's up for extension or whatever. So maybe you can get him for a little bit cheaper than if he was like getting all the buzz and everything. So at least that's
That's
my
always my,
delusion. Yeah.
that's always my thought too. I'm like, no, let's not celebrate this guy until we
Yeah,
pay.
exactly.
We sign
Exactly.
him to a longer term deal, and then we can give him all the awards.
Yeah. And then Gary gets his flowers for
Yeah.
Pro Bowl the first time. Which I don't know. I mean, he's a lot better against the run than he used to be. And I think it's the system, I don't know, it
Should we
just
just
seems
do
as
it? Here
a
we go.
yeah.
Packers Pro
Oh,
Bowl.
well, so for college, do you think I actually think Notre Dame and Ohio State are going
Top
to be the
two.
two teams. Yeah, I don't know. Like Texas didn't look that good, and Penn State. I, I don't know. I don't really know anything about them, and it's just they're kind of just like whatever.
That's how I feel too. Penn State is like super wild card. They lost to Ohio State. They lost
Hmm.
to Michigan. They lost to two games,
Hmm.
but both good teams. And then Texas like never beat anyone good until they lost in the SEC championship. They beat Texas A&M, I guess, and then they beat Arizona State, who we all kind of were like they were kind of the odd,
Hmm.
I guess. Um, and then Ohio State. I mean, the Michigan loss is like such a weird fluke, but also rivalry games can get kind of
It's different. It's different.
yeah. They are like extremely talented. Like even I
Yeah.
mean, outside of like Jeremiah Smith, who's a beast. I mean, like that Mukba wide
Yeah.
receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was like in terms because I look at like yards per route run. Like that's like my stat for wide receivers, and that dude is so high up there.
Yeah, and then Travion Henderson on that breakaway
Yeah.
touchdown. I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck's he fast?" So,
Yeah.
yeah, and Will Howard, like, I mean, Jeremiah Smith is a great wide receiver, but some of those balls that Will Howard was throwing were
It's
like
pretty
fucking
legit.
so
Yeah.
money. It's like, god damn.
And it seems like they woke up and realized, like, oh, we don't have to do ground and pound bullshit Big Ten stuff. Like we're Ohio State with like all these wide receivers, just chuck it up in the air,
All
and you
right.
win. You
Yeah,
know?
and they got a good defense too. I mean, they got a lot of big dudes. Jack Sears, good linebacker. Like great corners. Sonny Styles is great. Um, who else? The brother from Caleb Downs, safety is really
Yeah.
really good. So it'll be a bitch. See
If
if we
you're if you're Ohio State fan, would say you win the championship, do you consider this a successful season? Like, are you happy with how it went? Even though losing to Michigan, but you won the chip. Like, do you think that's what they like? Would you rather like for me, Michigan? I, as a fan, kind of casual fan, but fan,
yeah,
I much rather beat Ohio State than win the national championship. Like that was way more fun for me. The
it's a
championship was kind of
funny
whatever.
yeah, it's an odd one because I think like I did see someone post and they said like if Ohio State wins it, they're gonna have like all the shirts and the gear and everything that they print will have like the one loss against
Yeah,
Michigan on it.
yeah.
And like I do think that does leave a little bit of a like a bad taste in
I
your
think that
Ohio
leads
State
on,
mouth.
like great, like oh, and then Ohio, like Ryan Day saves his job, But I think for them, I think a lot of them, they'd probably feel the same way. Where it's like, I'd rather beat Michigan than win the championship. I don't know. Maybe they don't view the rivalry the same as Michigan people do, but that's how I feel.
I think they feel pretty
Yeah,
pissed.
yeah,
Like,
especially because it's like three in a row, and after like dominating, you have like this talent advantage and shit. Like I would be so pissed off if I was them, and that's probably why they're playing because they're fucking pissed off.
yeah, yeah, no, they're playing like a pissed off team. Hopefully they settle down a little bit against Texas. I predict Ohio State to win, and I have no idea what ND Penn State's going to be. I mean, I think Drew Aller's pretty good. I think
Because
they're
he's way better than Georgia's backup QB. Although he kind of made some throws. Georgia guy did, you
yeah,
know,
he
he was
wasn't bad.
okay.
Notre Dame has really good defense, so
Yeah,
and they just like tackled really well. Like
they
ND
did,
like felt like they made every single tackle
and then
like
Georgia
one on
did it.
ones on edges.
And
Yeah,
Georgia did it. It was always like they needed to like ND always got an extra yard, like always got that yard they needed.
yeah,
And it was just death by that. And like all those turnovers, like just and they were like terrible turnovers, not like, oh, you're driving, like the one that was right in the end zone. It's like, okay, you get it, after the kickoff, and then you have the kickoff for a touchdown, just
yeah.
like you play such a good game, but then like the 5% of it just killed them.
I mean, the final they lost by 13, and I think 17 points were scored in 25 seconds of gameplay.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And it's
mean,
just like, fuck. So that's
that,
why I think that the Penn State, like, because you're playing an actual good QB in Big Ten football. I don't know, and I think Penn State might win that.
I think it'll be a
But
good game.
yeah,
I think Georgia's defense is probably better than Penn State's defense. But I would say Georgia's offense is probably better, or Penn State's offense might be better just with the quarterback situation. That
yeah,
kid wasn't bad. He just like you could tell I don't know, his backup coming in, like he's not Carson Beck. He hasn't played all year. I always
yeah.
love
It's a big light too, and especially the game being postponed. I think that gets in his head a little bit. Like you have
yeah,
to think about it.
yeah, an extra night of sleep. You're probably already like stressed. You have
Yeah,
weird.
is someone
Yeah,
gonna drive to my hotel, kill me? Like I
that
don't
was a
know.
whole weird situation because I mean, a lot of players, you had family and friends come down. They're probably
Yeah.
going out the night before, like partying in Bourbon Street and stuff, and then
Hmm.
like that. That's where, like, I mean, I feel like if I was in the U.S. and I would have gone to this game, like that's probably where I would have been.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's kind of crazy that it's actually kind of crazy more people didn't die.
Yeah.
I mean, sucks that did, but
Yeah.
yeah, crazy
Uh.
situation. And then like that, and then yeah, I don't know, and then like the Tesla being exploded in front of
Yeah.
in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just crazy shit going on, man. I
And
don't
they're
know.
and they're all military people too, which
Military
is
people who I do think we do a bad job. I think I said this last podcast, but we do a bad job like mentally helping people after
yeah.
the military. But I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When you see like military, like 20 people a day are committing suicide, it's like that's a pretty crazy number when you think about it.
Yeah.
And you think that there'd be more like action by people by our country to.
Yeah. It's weird that we like care. I don't know, like the George Floyd thing. Like one person died, and that was like 6 months of outrage. Versus like you said, 20 people could die. It's just if you think about it in terms of a life is a life. Like what we pick and choose to care about it's kind of bizarre.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it's just I think it. So that's kind of my thought. I think it's less about the actual what happens, but it's kind of like what the mood is leading up to it. Like for the George Floyd thing, everyone was, you know, cooped up, freaked out about the pandemic, and I think it was just like all those like,
Yeah,
anxiety, all that. It was just like pent up, and it was just like a volcano to release. Like I don't think it was really about George Floyd. It was just everyone's kind of looking for an excuse to just like get out and just kind of let off all that steam. And I think that's kind of what it is for this. It's like, everyone's kind of freaked out about stuff, and then something happens. Like then all that freaked out just manifests in, whatever that event is.
yeah, and it's weird to me too because you have like the freak out. It seems like we have this cycle, and we've been doing it for years now. But I think it's a pretty solidified cycle. It's like we have a 3 to 4 day freak out, and then nothing
Goes away.
happens.
Goes
But
away.
bizarre to me because like it's good that like real issues are being discussed, and like I do think that even though it's a little intense and like a little overwhelming for people, probably it's
Hmm.
good to have a lot of these conversations like out in the open and like
Yeah.
address these issues, and we need to like talk about them. We can't like pretend like everything's hunky dory and whatever. But you gotta like it's like a bad thing happens, then you have to look at like how to fix it, and then it would take like months or years to like put in processes to fix all the like whatever
Yeah.
issue
Anything.
exists.
Yeah.
And I think we love like as a country, we love to be like, oh yeah, we'll do $1 million for mental health for
Hmm.
soldiers, and we'll like do that. But it's like, what does that actually mean? Like,
Yeah.
are people sitting down and like meeting with them? Are they like organizing activities? Are they making sure they're like finding jobs and like it's like the
Yeah.
actual like work, like I don't think happens.
No one, and it's never discussed. You know, it's like we think in terms of like terms of money. Like, oh, this you got $1 billion. You know, like, oh,
Yeah.
great, we helped them a bit, but it's like you said, like, what did that money actually do? You know, who did it just go towards like lobbyists, activists, like, and organizations, or did it actually help people, or like and like it's like almost America is like unique in its way, where it's like we just care about dollars and just kind of assume that dollars just solves everything,
Yeah.
but like we spend all this money and like we kind of just have the same problems over and over, and it's like at some point just stop the money or give the money somewhere else, or I don't know, like it's just we spend so much money for what, and maybe we're not the target demographic that needs the money or gets the money, so we don't see the impact or help it has, but I guess it's just like there's just so much money going, and it just feels like it hasn't done anything at all. If anything,
And
probably in like California, it's made the shit worse.
yeah, and it's crazy too. Like I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger donated 25 or 250 tiny homes for um I think it was veteran homeless in North Carolina. It was like people that were affected by
Oh, the
the
hurricane.
and it was like I can't remember, but it was like $250,000,
Oh,
which
so a
is
thousand dollars for a home, or 10 grand
uh,
maybe for a home.
10 grand. Yeah, it was probably 10 grand.
Yeah,
Anyway, they were small, like little temporary things, but I was like,
yeah,
that's like that's a good thing. People are intense. People need
yeah,
that, like a
yeah.
legit thing. I'm like, also, that's actually kind of a nice, like, why don't we do that if with our homeless issues or housing issues? Like, that's a
Or
pretty cheap,
RVs, like
affordable
RVs.
RVs. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty affordable. But we
Yeah,
don't, but it's like, why, how can we do that for 250 grand? And it seems like that makes a solid amount of progress. But then we
yeah.
do like a billion other
Really,
things. We spend like
like
all this
nothing.
money, like nothing happens.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
like
Just,
Mackenzie Bezos has spent like I don't know, is it like a couple billion already? And it just I don't know, it just goes for like bullshit. I mean, it's her money, her prerogative, but it just
yeah.
I think once you get to that level, it's almost like I guess it's kind of like the same with stocks. Like I know Warren Buffett mentioned this. Like if you have so much money, you just can't invest like a normal person because you just don't have enough stuff to buy, and the stuff you buy, like the returns get lower or whatever. It seems like the same thing for charity. It's like once you give too much money, then it becomes like a complex because right then the incentive to like get it is like so much more than like the aid being given out, right? But it's like not really applicable. Like if you have all the money, I don't know. Like if I was super rich, like you think of the Carnegies and stuff, they like made like institutions. Like that's what it seems like it should be more. Like build fucking colleges or like I don't know, hospitals or universities or centers. Like actually do buildings rather than like in some affirmist organization. Like it seems it's like we hire people rather than just building a sweet ass building that people can go to for free. Like build a museum or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
There's
that's
so
what I would do. I think.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like too a lot of people, it's like they don't know what to do with their money, so they
Yeah.
just be like, I'll donate 200 million to Harvard and put their name on a
Hmm.
building. It's like, okay, well, they have like so much goddamn money. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. It's good for you, but come on, that's more of a legacy project than a
Yeah. Maybe like buy out like one day in America, everyone like drinks for free or eats for free. You just give like a shit ton of money, like Chick-fil-A or something. Then
I
everyone
still
just
like my idea of giving like an issue to a billionaire, like Bill
yeah.
Gates. I think Bill Gates is a good one because he seems like he's in this
Well, he did
like
like the malaria thing in Africa. Like I know that he was super successful with
yeah,
that.
but he seems like he's like involved in a lot of things. Like, could
Yeah,
he just maybe focus a little bit and knock out a
yeah,
couple things here and there? Start
yeah,
with the U.S. men's soccer team, and we'll go from
yeah.
there.
Exactly. Yeah, like, but it feels like these billionaires don't really care about sports, other than like the ones that buy it. But yeah, yeah, that would be kind of nice.
You could start a college, and you could probably. I think there's a school trying to do this. Sacramento State. They're like starting a college. They got like $50 million. They're like building a new stadium, and they're
Just for
trying to
sports.
yeah. And I think they're going to try to. They're trying to move into D1, and then
That's actually not a bad idea at all.
I think like Michael Vick was going to coach them.
Interesting.
Or no, Norfolk State. I think it was.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right about Sacramento State. But then he might have gotten. He took an HBCU offer, maybe. Yeah, which I think is kind of cool. That like I don't know that like the DM kind of paved the pathway to like black coaches going that route. Like it just those organizations seem pretty cool. Like a good thing. Although you look at like how much debt they leave, it's like really bad, and like their like graduation rates is not very good and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Like yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's a good thing, kind of disappointing, but also good. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
There's so many parts of society that you're just like, this is
Mm,
good, but it's like, is it worth fighting, or do you
yeah.
just let it
Don't
go?
don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So moving on.
Yeah. Moving on. Yeah.
Prediction: Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Yeah, I
Let's
think
go
so too.
Irish.
I think
Let's
so
go
too.
Irish. All right, Packers Pro Bowlers. We had four this year. No, three.
Three.
Xavier McKinney, Rashawn Gary, Josh Jacobs. I don't think there were really any snubs on our
No.
team.
No.
I thought it was a pretty good list. I was a little surprised by
Maybe
Gary.
Tucker Craft. Maybe Tucker Craft.
Yeah, tight end's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't think they take a lot of tight ends. Jacobs, I
Yeah.
was happy to see Jacobs get in there because Saquon's having like a hell of a year, and
Yeah. Henry.
but he's been a beast. And then McKinney's been like a little quieter recently, but I think they're just not throwing at him at
No,
all.
I agree.
And he's playing great. He's tackled well. And I did the speaking of Packers though, like that last game was kind of annoying
It was extremely annoying.
to say the least. Yeah, it just felt like that was like we've talked before about having the five wideouts and how
Yeah.
it's like kind of a nice thing, but I felt like this was a game where it actually was like a negative,
Mm-hmm.
where you just couldn't get like anyone going really,
No.
and Watson out I think hurt us more than maybe I
Yeah.
realized, just with like
Yeah.
his
I kind
speed.
of called that shit.
Yeah, you did. And yeah, it just felt like nothing really ever. I don't know.
Well, so I think a lot of things. One is I don't know if you saw, but like the receivers that lead the league right now in drops, like Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed are like top two. And like Alan Lazard is up there, MBS is up there, like four former Packers or current Packers.
Yeah, why is
And
that?
I don't know. Is it just what we draft? Is it like we're just not good at teaching people to catch? That
Yeah.
what like they throw to? I don't know. But that is a concern. And it feels like we're kind of like okay with it. Like it's the new thing that we're okay with. Like it used to be like just kind of poor special teams, and like now special teams actually seems pretty good. But like it just seems like drops is just something that we can't figure out, and we're like because we were just like, oh, Devontae Adams had a drop issue and he figured it out, and I think that's what we just keep telling ourselves. It's like, oh, they'll figure it out. It's like, no, like you need to do that now. Like it's almost as bad as like a fumble, or honestly. And also I saw too of the top 10 QBs that have like the highest drop rate, like QBs that their wide receivers drop the most. The only one going to the playoffs is Jordan Love.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
So, but also kind of not nice that like basically in the NFL you can't be successful if your wide receivers drop the ball. and it seems like we're winning in spite of it, type thing. And I think that
That's what I
that hurt.
was. That's what was nice.
Yeah,
In spite of.
yeah. And so, and like Watson only has one drop on the year, and I think that's what makes him even more valuable. I think Jaden Reed probably has, like, other than Jair, I think he's probably been my second, maybe even tied with Ja, because Ja's always been hurt, and I think that's kind of always a thing, unfortunately, recently with him. But like Jaden Reed was like primed for like a blowout, explosive year. He started off super strong, and then just been garbage.
Kind of shocking, honestly.
Yeah, it is shocking. And I don't like, maybe it's because there's too many mouths to feed, so like you're not like locked in thinking you get the ball every possession, and maybe that's probably part of it, because it's like, oh, spreading it out, and like when it does come, that like they're not ready for it or something. I don't know. I'm kind of speculating here, but
No,
yeah.
it's kind of weird though. I mean, like against Detroit, we lost by 3. He had 1 target, no catches. This game, he
Mhm.
had 4 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. I mean, it's like that first game he only had 6 targets, but he had 4 catches for 138. He had 4 for 60, 4 for 50 against Houston, 7 for 139 the first time we played Minnesota, and then he pretty much hasn't done much. I
So I
mean,
think the
I
big
think
thing
he's
for the
hurt.
Minnesota game, I think like they had like their linebacker out, who's like, is it Cashman maybe, and they had Ivan Pace back, but like I think Cashman is like one of the best for the Vikings, like one of the best linebackers in terms of like pass coverage and stuff. And
Okay.
so like him in the slot, like I guess every other team but us is good with linebackers covering like in the middle of the field, and like versus us, we're so garbage at it.
Yeah.
I think January is just like, you just, I don't know, just can't figure it out, or maybe we're not good against it. Also, one thing I noticed too was like if Josh Jacobs is in the game, it's like a run play, and if he's not in the game, it's a pass play, and that feels like very obvious to me. And it seems like we kind of do obvious calls, like maybe the actual calls itself we do trickery, but like whether it's run or pass, it seems pretty obvious, especially like fourth down calls where it's like run up the middle. Like we don't, I don't know, like Matt LaFleur just doesn't have the balls to like do trick plays and like high critical moments. Maybe not trick, but like creative plays.
Yeah.
And I think that hurts him too.
Yeah, it is kind of the drop thing has been super weird this year. Jaden Reed had like some of the best hands last year, and
Yeah.
then
And he's made some awesome catches this year too.
yeah, and I don't know, maybe it is. I saw like Bukowski, he tweeted out that he's had a way worse drop rate on way less targets, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it makes sense because
Yeah.
you just don't have the numbers to
Mm-hmm.
make it look better. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's not like a huge deal. I don't. I mean, the Wicks thing, like people are kind of freaking out. He's played better
It's
recently.
played pretty good. Yeah.
Kind of interesting that Heath caught the touchdown.
Yeah.
That was just kind of random, but maybe Watson being out,
Yeah.
he got one. But yeah, I'm a little worried about our team in the playoffs. To be honest, that game like was the first game where I started to feel a little worried about the Packers
Yeah.
because
Well, and
we
yeah.
haven't been able to compete with like the top of the NFC yet this year. We've taken care of business, and I wanted to like kind of prove that we could.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've lost by like what 2,
And we've
so
come back. I think we've come back like in like all these games, where we just start out slow and then we just do heroic comebacks and then just are an inch short. So that gives me room for optimism that even when punched in the mouth, that we still keep fighting. And it's almost like we play better when it's like, oh, we got to do like crazy shit. Like it feels like Jordan Love is more, I don't know, like more himself. And I think like maybe the pick thing has kind of gotten to his head where he's, like a little too conservative when he should be kind of like airing it out a little bit more.
yeah,
Because he looks good, but he kind of looks like a Kirk Cousins. Like, I mean, he still does stuff, but it's just before like all the like even like the interception Jordan Love, he's doing a streak. Like he was doing some crazy shit, and he was kind of hurt too. I don't know. Like it just the vibes
yeah,
feel off. But then I was thinking like last year. I mean, shit, we lost to the Giants. Like in that Week 17 game,
yeah,
and that was way worse than losing the Vikings. So like by all accounts, and we have a lot of injuries, which hopefully like they seem kind of temporary, other than Ja. But like not having Wyatt,
Mhm.
Watson, Quay. I think Quay is actually a really big deal. I know like we kind of
Yeah.
like to hit on, but he really came in his own. And like for the green dot guy, like the middle of the field is just that's where we get blown up. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, I if we get all these guys back, and Evan Williams too. Like Javon Bullard is not that good, and Evan Williams is really good.
That's
And
true.
so like not having him too, I think really hurts.
I
So
think wasn't Zane Anderson hurt too, and he was
yeah,
playing
you
pretty
got
well.
you got a concussion like the special teams like right away, and like
Yeah, yeah,
Athlete said that fucked everything up too. So
yeah.
um, yeah, I feel good. I feel bad, but I feel good for the reasons I feel bad. And almost like I think it's kind of good that because we were rolling, and I think it's kind of good to get punched like kind of like the Michigan Ohio State thing, where get punched now, then you have like that little edge. You go take care of business with the Bears and shit. We were gonna be on the road anyways in the playoffs, like
Yeah, it didn't really matter.
yeah, So it's like fuck it.
I do think like your point about Jordan Love, like the throwing is good though, because like earlier in this year, everyone was freaking out about the picks, but it didn't the picks didn't really bother me that much. And we
Uh,
we we won a lot of those games. We were playing well. He was chucking all over. Like it was
he
just
would
like
like throw one pick and then he would just go Super Saiyan after that.
yeah, and it was like some of the picks weren't even that bad. They were like, oh, like
So
he overthrew a guy a little bit, like whatever, shit happens. Um, yeah, I want to give him back to like slinging and
yeah.
like letting loose. And do you think we're like trying to hide stuff because it's close to the playoffs?
Like maybe, because like that game was kind of me.
Kind of
Like if we would have
irrelevant.
won that and then we won the Bears, I think we could have locked up the 6th seed. So I mean, we're just playing for a 6 or 7 seed, which is kind of big. For seventh, we played the Eagles. It seems like I
Yeah, that
think
was
for almost for sure. That would kind of suck, but also like that game was pretty close, even with all the field issues and stuff. And like
a lot of
Jalen
figures.
Hurts, had a concussion and they're like he's gonna be probably rusty because he's not gonna play. Saquon's gonna be rested. Like I mean, Eagles are good, but I don't think they scare me that much.
Yeah, they've definitely been weird. Like Hurts, they're just such a bitch to play against, though. Like
Yeah,
because they're just so like the short runs are tough to stop, and like we're really gonna need Quay Walker to play well that
yeah,
game.
or
Um,
Edgerrin Cooper. But it feels like our run defense has gotten like really good, really quickly, and no one
yeah,
it's kind of flying on the radar. Like I am way more concerned about pass defense than run, and I guess AJ Brown,
that's
Devontae, they're gonna. That's kind of scary, but like I don't think I'm that worried about like Saquon and Jalen Hurts run stuff. Like we've been really good about mobile QBs this year, like pocket contain, and
mhm.
I don't know. I feel like we match up decently well against the Eagles.
Yeah, he's been kind of in a weird funk too. Like you think he would run a little bit more for
Yeah,
his skill wise, and I was gonna look up what he did, but um, I don't know. He's been like he seems like a little hesitant or something about him, and then he like I don't know. A lot of the media was talking shit to him about him and AJ Brown, and then
yeah,
your touchdown pass to Brown, and like was loving it, loving himself. So I don't know. They had some weird drama over there. His his rushing this year, he's usually around like 40 yards. I
yeah,
mean, 630 yards. It's a decent amount actually for. It's just like an annoying threat, I guess, to have to play against.
yeah. Although, so Jalen Hurts averages 5.1 yard per carry. Jordan Love averages 6 yards.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Actually,
mind
5.1. He's like really. I guess because he does all the tush push, so that like hurts him. You
kills
know.
him. Yeah,
Yeah, but he's the ninth ranked QB per Elo, like the NFL Elo site that I like. Um,
I wouldn't
so
mind like having Jordan Love move a little bit more, to be honest.
yeah, like when he's doing the scrambling, I think it's been kind of legit.
Incredible throws on their own, yeah, and moving, and that's when he's like not like overthinking too. That's
Yeah,
like when he's just like free playing, like sees the guy, lets it rip.
yeah,
And
sees it, hits it.
I think it'll be. Do you think we play our starters much, or how's the game going to
I
go?
think they said that they play everyone that's healthy. I think we kind of need to
Okay,
get right. Like I don't think you risk like Josh Jacobs. I think he said he's not going to get that many touches, which I think you saved the running backs, but I think like kind of like I think our DBs kind of need some help and like feel good. And like Carrington Valentine's really kind of come into his own. I know. Hopefully, we can get some people off the injured list, and
Yeah.
then like
Let's get a couple picks off Caleb and have some
I know
fun.
sacks. You get a lot of sacks.
Oh yeah, Gary's can probably hit some incentive deal if he gets like 4
Yeah,
sacks this week.
yeah. Yeah. I like put it this way: if we lose to the Bears, I think I will spiral out of control. Um, but hopefully, we take care of business, and then we feel good.
We're 10-point favorites.
Yeah, which
If we lose to the
feels like a trap game. But like the Bears are in major dysfunction. They probably just want to go home. But like it's still rivalry, and like I don't know. I think they're probably going to give it their all.
I mean, we could let them win and then fuck up their draft position.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's if we lose. That's like I'm already pre-doing the cope I'm going to do for that.
They're talking Patriots maybe trading the first overall pick. So if the Patriots win this weekend, they lose the first pick. If they lose, they get it.
Yeah,
I feel like you got to lose, but
I don't know. NFL's pretty good about like not tanking because like the players don't really give a shit about the draft pick.
no. And the coaches are all playing for their lives, so they
Yeah,
don't
but
want.
the Mayo says like he's going to be there. But like I think Vrabel says he wants to go to New
They
England.
doesn't seem locked in for next year, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I guess the rumors are they have. I don't know. Yeah,
He's
I don't
pretty
know.
new, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Optimism for the future remains. Well, we'll see.
Well, and their defense has been kind of garbage. I don't know.
Whole team is kind of trash. I mean, Drake May seems solid, so that's good for them.
Yeah, they just need offensive line. I think the funny thing is, seems like Ben Johnson wants to go to the Jaguars.
I saw that. He wants to go
Yeah,
with Trevor Lawrence and like really likes Trevor Lawrence or something like that.
yeah, and he wants to like bring I don't know like this GM that he knows that's
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
making
I think.
quarterback.
Yeah, and I think the Bears getting Mike McCarthy. I think that's totally a Bears move. That just feels
Yeah,
real right.
it honestly like might happen.
Yeah,
I think he's my favorite right now,
yeah, I think so too.
which is fucking hilarious. I can't even believe it's like a real discussion.
Yeah,
Also, I saw the Jets had been interviewing, and they interviewed Louis Riddick of ESPN for the GM spot, and I just thought that was hilarious. I'm like, what?
yeah, classic Jets.
It's always blows my mind how many people transition from TV, and I know they have past histories
Mhm.
lately, but TV to GM seems like a bizarre.
That's such a reach, Like you
But
go
it has,
from like a talking head to, yeah.
like JJ Redick had a podcast with LeBron, and he's like, "Oh, I'll become the head coach of the Lakers now because we break down basketball plays." It's like what?
That kind of makes more sense to me than being a GM. Like GM, you have to know contracts. Like I mean, I think GM is a way harder job than being a coach.
Yeah, GM is a bitch. My
Yeah,
OTT playing GM is like not even a
yeah.
job I really want, to be honest.
No, it's a lot, and like
Too
the
much to handle. Yeah.
yeah, and all the contracts and dealing with everyone, and yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's tough.
Imagine being someone who just does that on Twitter for free.
Yeah, it's fun though. I mean, it's like fantasy football is like GM kind of. I mean, the dynasty baseball league I am like you have to deal with
Yeah.
contracts. And it is fun, like doing like the team build up and like knowing what is. I mean, really, what I like is like the trading aspect. Like, I really just like wheeling and dealing for players. Like, that's probably my favorite
Yeah.
aspect of it.
It's building the team. I feel like this is
Yeah,
us saying
building.
this is like it's like you're a team and the team like sucks and you're like, okay, well this is just fun. Like we'll just go and enjoy the games and it's a good time and like don't really
Uh-huh.
care if we win. And then like the team like slowly starts to get a little bit better and you're like, oh, this is like fun ride. We're adding new players, we got more
Uh-huh.
money, new ownership, whatever. And then you get good and you start competing and it's like you're like excited to watch like every single game, like regular season. Everything matters. It's just like, and you're like right there, and then you like win, and then all of a sudden you like only really care about the playoffs,
Yeah.
or it's like it's not as fun anymore. It's weird.
No. And like every loss like hurts so much more. And like it's like when you expect to win, it almost becomes miserable in a sense.
Yeah, like the Brewers used to be so much fun, just like that potential. And I feel
Yeah,
like the Brewers do a good job of like staying in that sweet spot of like
yeah.
underdog with potential. Um, but I don't know. Once you have like some success, it's like it's hard to appreciate
How
smaller
hard
success.
to get to this? Yeah. But I think the best thing about the Brewers is like finally we're like it seems like we're drafting and developing really good finally. Like I don't think we ever really did. You know, like we had Ricky Weeks, Fielder, Ryan Braun, but like between those guys and like where we are, there was like 8 years of like nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
Freddie Peralta a little bit, but like we whiffed on all of our high draft picks. We're not involved in international at all. And now it's like we kind of like dominate, you know, like Jesus
yeah,
Mod is getting buzz of being a potential number one overall prospect again. Like basically another Cheerio, maybe.
it's crazy.
Yeah, like just if you did back to back number ones, like that's unheard of.
Uh,
Yeah.
it is
Like
fun to watch.
Arrow and like all that. Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be more of a story about that, like because those are the parts of the game that people don't like. The casual fan doesn't like know
Like
as much
know
about.
anything about. Yeah.
Like you don't even know like how involved are we in Venezuela? How
Hmm.
like are we signing guys? And that those are like projects that take probably fifth like probably since Marquez bought the Brewers to really come full circle.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think people don't really want to know about it because it's like you're agreeing to deals with like 12-year-olds, which is kind of fucked up, you know? And it's like all verbal. I don't know. The whole process is pretty messed up.
yeah,
But I mean, it works. I
they're
mean, they
very
get money. They get money, you know, like, you know, I mean, it's not that bad. It's not like they're slaves or anything. You know, it's just like
there's
shit, you
probably
know?
some great shit that goes on though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
But
there's probably some like local like agents or like kind of local
that's what it
people.
is. Like they get like a cut of it and like
Yeah,
they're like in control. Like they have so much power and stuff. And yeah,
yeah. It'd be a fun like book to read about it, honestly.
it would be. Yeah. Some expose.
I remember reading the story about Puig escaping Cuba.
Oh, yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Like, dude, so crazy. Like, takes a little fucking inflatable boat from Cuba to Mexico, and then he's like stuck with like whatever cartel dudes for a couple days, like not sure what the hell's gonna happen. Somehow, like, I think he agreed. I think he had to like agree to pay them part of his future earnings,
Yeah. That's what they do.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Such a like nuts life. And then he goes on and he's like hitting home runs in the World Series for the Dodgers. Then he goes to Cincinnati, and then he like now he doesn't even exist anymore. It's
I
what
know.
a
Like he's
crazy.
like he's kind of like Josh Hamilton, where just laughs on the scene and they just died out immediately after.
I liked him a lot too. I like kind of wanted him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in his last year, he for the Guardians, 2019, he was on the Reds and the Guardians. He had 252 and 100 games for the Reds, and then 297 and 50 for the Guardians.
Not bad. That's really good.
That's like pretty damn good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was he just like a? It seemed. I don't think it was like a
At
tool.
defense.
He had a huge arm.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of reminded me of Bo Jackson.
Yeah, he kind of looked like him too.
Yeah, just super jacked dude.
122 career OPS. I mean, I don't know. I always kind
Yeah.
of thought he was a fun player, but
Maybe attitude.
yeah. I mean, it's tough when you take someone like who goes through like tough life like that and then give him
Yeah.
millions of dollars. I mean, also he's probably living a good life. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully he didn't blow it all. It seems like the Kevin guy would
he's
be
okay.
broke right now.
Yeah, he could be.
Yeah.
We can
All right, move
sign.
on.
Yeah, we can move on. Moving on. We can just go through this quick. So the AFC Week 18. Um, Denver, Miami, Cincinnati. Denver winning in. Miami needs Denver to lose and win. Cincy needs Denver to lose and Miami to lose and a win, which is pretty crazy that
It's even to this point.
yeah, that the Bengals probably don't get in. It seems like
I
Denver's
don't
gonna
know. I don't
win.
know. I mean, so Miami's starting Skylar Thompson, so I think they're fucked. And it seems like they're kind of falling apart at the seams. Like that
Yeah.
experience is over. Denver's had multiple chances to lock it up, and they haven't. So I mean, they're on a slide, and Cincy is like red fucking hot. So
The
I could
Chiefs
absolutely see this.
Chiefs aren't playing anyone against Denver though.
Yeah, but they're still the Chiefs, you know? I don't know. I
Who's the
guess I
backup?
think Carson Wentz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll ball out then.
Yeah, right? And like he's playing for a contract.
Yeah, he's probably playing for a big contract actually,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
All right,
So I don't
maybe he
yeah,
will
I
lose.
could see this. I think since he's kind of like that Cinderella story, and I like them. I feel like that'd be
They'd
really
be
cool if they
very,
get in. Yeah.
yeah, they'd be a dangerous team. I mean, their offense has always been electric. Their
And their
defense is,
defense seems kind of good now. Like I mean not good, but like not complete dog shit like it used to be.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, from a competitive standpoint, I kind of want Denver to win just because I think they'd be easier to beat. But
Well, I think, but you want like good teams in the AFC, so it takes out other. Like, I think you just want the Chiefs to lose.
yeah, I could see Cincy beating the Chiefs just because I think they could keep up with them
Yeah,
scoring.
and
And
they're
the
like,
Chiefs,
we made it this far. I mean, if they get in, I think they're like, okay, anything is possible.
yeah. All right, that'll be
Yeah.
fun. That'll be fun. Moving on, week 18. So the only spot open is in the NFC is the NFC South. Tampa Bay is playing New Orleans at home to win. They're in, and then Atlanta needs Tampa Bay to lose and win themselves. So
Let's see how is Penix been?
my boy Michael Penix,
He's ranked 41st overall in QBs,
yeah,
just above CJ Stroud, surprisingly enough.
yeah. I saw his completion percentage wasn't great last game.
No.
Oh, also, by the way, I think you're right about Spencer Rattler's nominative determinism, but
Yep.
I think you're the Rattler thing is not being like a snake. It's actually being like rattled. He's
Mm.
rattled. He's rattled back there.
Spencer Rattler leads the league in wide receiver drops. He's been fucked. Yeah, yeah. I
Honestly,
knew.
honestly, lead the
I
league
had.
after one game.
Well, it's percentage, like percentage.
Uh,
Yeah, even though he is the 51st best QB, he is still better than Will Levis, Skylar Thompson. So Skylar Thompson is the 52 worst QB. So Miami looks turbo fucked. Dorian Thompson Robinson is the worst QB in the NFL.
what stat is this?
This is NFL ELO. You go to just type in NFL ELO.
NFL.
Like my Bible.
The NFL power ratings.
Yeah, and then just go to QBs.
All right, so we're third. Nice.
Yeah.
This is your Bible. Lamar Jackson, number one. Who do you got
Uh,
MVP right now? Lamar or Josh?
Josh, I think Lamar deserves it, but Lamar got it last year when Josh should have gotten it. So I think Josh should get it this year because I think he just deserves an MVP.
I 100% agree and think that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, it's like although you could say it's like a slippery slope going to like NBA where it's like Embiid getting that one MVP was bullshit, but I don't know. Like give Josh an MVP. He deserves it. I'm not too worried about slippery slope type of thing.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Josh has been awesome all year. Lamar's been awesome. I don't think it like really matters that
Yeah.
much.
And Lamar won one. You know, like if Lamar didn't win one, I would say Lamar, but he won one. So
Two, right? I think he did two.
oh yeah, he said two. Yeah. But it was just the one last year was super egregious to me.
Yeah. Did you agree that Saquon should be sitting?
Yeah, because
101
because
yards
it's
away.
like they're a good enough team where it's like, you know, like you should be doing everything you can for a Super Bowl. Like if you were not in the playoffs, then of course, you know, but like I don't know. They're good enough where it's like, especially for running back too, where it just seems like wear and tear just means so much more for running back. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if I was them, I would have sat him. I mean, because it's like 101 yards too. You know, that's not like if it was like if it was 50 or under, I think I would have done it. But under one, that's a full game, and you kind of have to, you know, like if you get injured, you know, like that's just like
Yeah.
Sirianni probably loses his job to be honest, no matter what happens.
I think it's a fun debate, but I think you're right. I don't think it's even really a decision. Like the goal is the Super Bowl. It's kind of irrelevant almost. And if you
Yeah,
were to get hurt, it's like so stupid to be like
like
the
people,
worst.
like I didn't even know Dickerson had a single. Like I didn't know he led it. Maybe I'm a casual, but like people remember Super Bowls way more than just records like that.
Yeah. And if you want to win the record like that, like you could just run the ball fucking shit ton of times every year, and
Yeah, but like that was only to wins, you know. Like
yeah,
I don't know. And actually, one thing I thought was interesting is that Saquon has like people are like bitching about the 17 game thing, but Saquon has less touches than Dickerson did. You know, so even with the extra with like extra game or whatever, so like even if he would have played in the game, he likely would have had less touches. So I think that kind of turns the argument on its head. You know, made me kind of fully like a record's a record.
yeah. I think too, like rushing for 2,000 yards is fucking legit. Like you're part
Yeah.
of the 2K club. CJ Johnson, Chris Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
I think AP did it. I mean, it's not many guys have done it. Did Marshall Falk do it? Maybe. Maybe Marshall Falk.
Maybe, yeah. He was good. This is kind of interesting stat. All right, so I'm just looking at like this website, right? Points for gaps, right? So just simple arithmetic of like how much you score, how much you've let up. So Lions
Mm-hmm.
lead the league with 200 net. Bills second, 164. So pretty steep drop off. Eagles third, then Ravens, then Packers, and then
Ooh,
Vikings, then Buccaneers are seventh, which is kind
Buccaneers.
of
That's
yeah,
yeah.
no, that came out of nowhere, and then
They had a
yeah.
couple crazy. Chiefs the eighth is actually kind of wild too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like
Buccaneers had a
Chinese.
couple like big games where they QB
Yeah.
adjusted. What is QB? What is
So
NFC?
that means okay. So that means like what your team. All right. So I looked this up. I think it's kind of like wrong, but like basically, so you take everyone on your team but your QB, right? And it's like a war. Like everyone on your team is super good.
Mm-hmm.
Then like you have a level of say like out of 10. We'll just make it up. Like say if everyone on your team's a 9 out of 10, but your QB is like an 8 out of 10, then adjust it down. But if everyone on your team is like a 6 and your QB is like an 8, then it adjusts up. So like basically the Packers score is like Jordan Love is just as good as the team is versus like Bills where it's like the team apparently or maybe it's the other way around. No. Because I think QB's like yeah, Josh
Should,
Allen's up there. Yeah, so I don't know.
should we look it up?
Yeah, let's see
NFL.
what does it mean. Maybe it tells you.
NFL.
Oh yeah, you can look down maybe.
Can you see it on them, or can you read it?
I'm looking.
Is it rated for head-to-head condition?
QB rankings.
Create an ELO.
You'd think they would have it here.
A custom model for home. This is like a betting or
Yeah,
betting.
it's all free.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Has it been helping you this year?
Yeah. I mean, I think like in the lines and stuff, it's kind of interesting. Like, and it's pretty like the lines are like all pretty accurate nowadays,
Yeah,
which is interesting. Like there's not really any large whatever.
that is interesting. It's crazy how much like sports gambling is just happening. All right, so pretty much the Packers are a top five team in the NFL,
Yeah.
and life is good. It's kind of cool that you can like click and stuff on or
Yeah.
net points. I mean, the Lions had a couple big blowout games too.
They had a ton of blowout games.
We're sixth,
Their defense looks so bad now.
we're sixth in EPA rush, -0.1.
Yeah.
It's crazy that a negative number is sixth in the
It's
NFL.
good.
Yeah,
Or is that for offense? No, good. You want oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
offense.
Because it's just like rushing just
Yeah,
isn't good. Like it's like yeah.
just not worth it to run the ball.
No, it's not, But like you kind of need it to do play action because play action I think is like one
Yeah,
of the best plays, so it kind of plays into that.
They somehow need to make um they need to make the NBA where passing is like shooting a three, where it's like you have to like attack the rim more to get more looks. I guess that makes sense, but it does. I don't know. Too much, too much, because I don't think you could have like 100% passing team.
I mean, I think that's one of the things you think you couldn't, but I think you actually could.
And maybe it would work.
Yeah, I think it would work.
I mean, statistically, right? But then the
Yeah,
defense,
and also, but also like you couldn't like, and even if you're down, like that's always a good thing, right? Like
yeah,
because you need to throw when you're down.
yeah. That's why it's always hard to be like a running team. It's great when you're winning, but then all of a sudden you're like,
If you're down, you can't do it. Yeah.
yeah, like an early turnover or something. It's like, ah, shit. Ah, shit. Here we go again. Ravens number one offense. So this is pretty much the best offenses in the league. So we're
All right,
seven.
so I think the Elo, I think it's because like the QB adds to it. I don't
Okay.
know. It's either adds or subtract. I think it adds because it's like a plus.
And then for like, see, the interesting part though was like the
Well, because
Chiefs.
Titans are number one in this if you do QB adjusted, and like Will Levis is one of the worst. So
Yeah.
like that
And
doesn't make
Bills.
sense. But then
Well, it
like,
must be the opposite because Bills are last and Chiefs are second last.
but then Lamar is the best QB on the website.
Yeah, that's weird. Because the
Yeah,
Browns are, and then the Saints are fourth. It's Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Saints, Browns.
yeah. So I think it's kind of what I said because I remember I looked it up and that was it's like because I think like the Lions team is so good that like no, but like I think the QB drops it down. So maybe the QB's playing so good it drops it down to that level. But like I don't know. But then you have Chiefs, Bills, like Bills, right?
Yeah.
Like I guess Bills and Ravens being so different is weird to me. Hmm. I don't know.
Ranking prediction not as visualized for you. Hmm.
Okay,
64.
so here a cute quarterback adjustment. Either diff.
This is going to be an
A
auxiliary.
quarterback. Okay, a quarterback adjustment that assigns each team and every team and each individual QB a rolling performance rating, which can be used to adjust a team's effective elo or downward in the event of a major injury or QB change. Maybe because Will Levis got benched, then it like because he was so bad, then it makes it better. I think that's what it means, and it's like rolling.
Oh, okay.
So,
So,
but like,
so the Eagles are down
yeah,
because,
because Hurts, yeah, because
yeah, because
Hurts.
he's not.
Yeah, and then Chiefs, I guess. Oh, because Carson Wentz. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. And then I guess Josh Allen's not going to play.
yeah, okay.
All right. So it's like just for this week. It's not like
Live, yeah.
yeah. So this is like a live like of this week's games.
So
What?
what? So when the Titans are plus 49, does that mean that starting the backup actually makes them
Yeah,
better?
better. It does. Yeah,
Why
because like
the
well,
why
because like I think he hasn't played it all, but like Will Levis was so bad that like you would think that like this person even though they haven't played is better than Will Levis.
why would that be for the Ravens though?
Is Lamar not playing? Or no, Lamar is still playing.
So just have him in makes him.
And he guess he's been playing better recently. Him with like Goff.
I guess that makes sense because QB
Yeah.
play is probably the number one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's just adjusted, right? And like Burrow has been awesome. You know,
yeah.
Jane Daniels, Broncos.
Bo Nix being up plus 22 is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The Giants plus 22 though.
Well, also like Danny Jones was really bad.
Yeah, true. Not much of a yeah.
Yeah.
More of a slight on Daniel Jones than a
But it's also I think this is like I think it's relative to what the ELO is. Like I don't think like adjusted is in a vacuum, you know? Or like relative to like what the other like either to themselves or to like what the previous is, you know? So like
okay.
because Will Levis so bad, even like a kind of a crappy QB will still be like 49 points better than him, even though like the Titans are like the you know well, I guess 24th team. They're better. The Cowboys being so low is kind of surprising. And Jets, Colts.
You can like read through all this stuff if you want.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this website.
It's pretty interesting. I wonder 538. Okay.
Yeah,
Nerds. The nerds are taking over.
right.
Analytics, man, playing a big role in the ND Georgia game.
Yeah. All right. What are we
Moving
talking about?
on. My
Moving
last
on.
my last topic was just world chaos. That's all I put.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how much we want to.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think, do you think Trump being in power, do you think, like, because it seems like, oh, right, like Mexico said that they'll take, some illegal immigrants and, I don't know, like wars. I guess, like, I kind of think that plays a factor a little bit. Most, not just because of like Biden, but I think because like Biden is just, obviously he's just not in power, so you don't have any executive that can do anything, and like Trump being there. But like, we didn't really have much like global wars under Trump, and I think Trump's pretty good about like being kind of a lunatic, so people are scared to do shit.
Yeah, no, I think that's the key is like
Yeah,
the nervousness of like the irrationality, right? It's like what
yeah,
is he going to do? He actually might be crazy enough to blow us up.
yeah,
Um, and he did it a couple of times, like doing the
yeah,
solid money strike and doing. He was always pretty good about like being pretty, trying to be more accurate, not
yeah,
like big things. I did see Biden though was looking at bombing Iran's nuclear sites. Did you see that?
yeah, yeah,
Pretty nuts because it's like he was like the whole Iran deal guy.
yeah, yeah. I think his presidency is probably
And
going to be looked at like one of the worst. I mean,
the
like
last month has just been like,
a shit show.
oh,
And like
dude. And
inflation and everything. Like, and part of it too, to give credit to, like all that money was, from the stimulus and everything. Like we printed out so much money, like that you no
it's
matter what president's gonna get inflation. But like then he passed two major spending bills that just added fuel to the fire, And I think it's like you have that coupled with what you came with, it's just and even that we're like still one like by far like the best nation that has handled this stuff. So you know?
yeah, that's the crazy part. It's like
Yeah.
it actually has gone. Honestly, I think it's gone pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Like
every,
I think we're like normal now. It's just not like people remember, just cheap money during COVID. And I think that's
yeah,
going to be hard for people to just forget that, like, oh, you could get interest rates in the twos, like that was unheard of, or the gas being free for a little while. I mean, it's
yeah,
just a lot of crazy shit that like just should not happen and never will happen again.
and just like everyone's spending was so low during that
Yeah.
time. You going
Saving.
out, you
Yeah.
just feeling like you're better in spot. Yeah, I mean, I do think part of it he fucked up, and part of it it's a tough situation. I don't know. It's kind of how presidents always are.
Yeah.
Um, and there's like only so much. It just seems like right now though, like he's not even. It seems like things keep happening, but he's not even like involved. I think
No,
that's
I
the
mean, he's
biggest.
not. I don't think he is involved. Like, I
I
think he's
mean,
awake for like a couple hours a day.
it's nuts. Like
Yeah.
he literally would have gotten. I don't know if he would have done as well as Kamala, but I think he would have gotten over 70 million votes for 4 more years.
100%.
And like that's kind of crazy to think about. And I know like
Yeah.
Donald Trump's Donald Trump,
Yeah.
but Joe Biden is like not alive.
No, I think that, I mean, just the two-party thing where it's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
going
so
down.
entrenched, and people think like, oh, like, no, I don't. There's like too many vested interests, and already, maybe
Yeah,
I'm just not creative enough, but it's just like this is so entrenched that I don't think that could ever change. I mean, we've had it for a long time now.
it'd be almost impossible to change. I mean, it's
Yeah,
built into the system. It's like the majority leadership of the House and the minority. There'd have
yeah,
to be like a whole nother party that somehow gains majority in the House to even like
yeah,
get
and
near.
I can't. I couldn't see that ever happening.
Yeah, and we do like
Like you
these
need
like
like a slavery. Like you need a slavery type event, and that's like I think people kind of underestimate. Like we fixed a lot of pretty much major problems. Like yeah, there's like all the lingering stuff. Like oh, there'll be gun crime or like inflation or whatever. But like in terms of like big shit, kind of like not easily fixable, but like easily identifiable fixable. Like slavery. All right, end that right or gay marriage, shit like that. Like everything else is like more nebulous, like zoning reform or like
Yeah.
economic policy or, like foreign, it's not just easily pinned down where it's like, I guess you could say maybe abortion, like where it's like, oh, we either have all that. But I think the more we go towards where like you can have like womb, like you could have an artificial womb, or like say like instead of having an abortion, like say you could take the unborn fetus in a woman and somehow like take it out and put it in a fake womb and then the baby grows, right? Like, and that's like safe to everyone. Then it's like at that point, abortion, like if you don't have to grow the baby, then what's your motivation? Like, what's your, I guess, like moral or like what's your like reason to have one? Like, you don't really have one then.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if like in the future, do you just like get rid of your uterus then so you don't get like
yeah,
cancer? Then?
yeah. But I
That's
no, but it's also pretty important for like hormones and
yeah.
like I think because it's like when like maybe it's not uterus, but like when they have like it's like like that surgery, like it kind of messes shit up, still,
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
yeah,
It's it.
but I
Yeah,
don't
no.
know,
You make an
like
interesting point, though, like because we always think about like dealing with issues in today's technology, but
yeah,
realistically, like it will change quite a bit. And the amount of time we spend on abortion versus like how it will be handled in the future is probably
yeah,
like we're probably
yeah,
not even really discussing the reality of
no,
the situation in like 5, 10 years. So yeah, it is an interesting one. I do think that in general, like people just like to complain
they need something,
and like I don't know. There's a part of me that like I understand the economic concerns, and I think they're more for people that um on the lower end of things,
yeah,
living paycheck to paycheck, which obviously it's like a huge issue. But there are also like tons of people like going to college football playoff games and partying it up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like I mean, there's a lot of people that are like young people making decent money and they're single.
yeah,
so
yeah.
so I don't know.
Well, yeah, like so I saw one thing, like people are like talk about birth rate, like how it's so bad or whatever. But so I think I saw that it's like 65% of the decrease in America's birth rate is just because teenage girls aren't having pregnancies anymore. Whether it's because of like better birth control or abortions, but mostly it's birth control and just like being more knowledgeable, I guess, about it, you know? And so it's like everyone's like, oh, the birth rate's falling. Well, it's like, well, it's just fallen for like the people that probably shouldn't have kids, at least at that age, right?
People that maybe
Um,
trying to
yeah,
have
like
kids.
you're like 17, right? Like in America, you probably shouldn't have a kid when you're 17 years old. But, so I guess if like, but if this continues, say like, okay, instead of having, I don't know, like, I guess just a population never grows. I mean, like a lot of systems are predicated on population continuously, like, the social security for a big one, the easiest one, but also kind of like, I guess, but stock market kind of,
Financial market.
yeah, but like that's kind of not because that's like also in like productivity, so if like AI really takes off and we're just super efficient, like we could, still grow like at that rate. And like you also have like money just compounds money. Like we're not a zero sum economy, like,
Yeah.
money begets wealth and like we have all this wealth and you just keep investing it and then it keeps compounding. Like that could just grow on by itself, I don't think you really need population to grow with that, but social security class. But then I'm also thinking like real estate prices. Like if you don't have as much people, then you could probably get like houses would probably become cheaper, right? Over time.
Yeah. No, for
So that's kind of interesting to think about. Like, oh, you could like live in downtown New York for, half the prices it is now. Like, and I
sure.
like what the effects that has is kind of interesting to think about. Like, I don't know.
I was thinking about like, is this the first time in the history of the world where it's like every species has always wanted to produce as many
Yeah,
possible?
yeah, and
This
that's like
is
their only goal, like their
yeah,
main goal.
and this is the first time in the history of the world where like humans, we got to this point where we're actually
Yeah,
making decisions like when do we want to do it, how do we want to do it,
yeah,
all this, and it's almost like it's like this it's like there's this initial reaction that's like kind of scary and it's like
mm,
population collapse and and but
Hmm.
it's like, is it necessarily? I don't know. I was thinking about it,
No.
and it could be. I think the scary part is how quickly it could go bad. Like
Yeah.
we're dying every single day. If one generation like fucked some shit up, all of a sudden you
Yeah.
could go from. I mean, it's much easier to like go from 8 billion to 4 billion than from 4 billion to 8 billion, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So that's a little scary,
Yeah.
and people are dying every single day. Like it could
Hmm.
change somewhat quickly. You think about 100 years.
100
Here's
years. 100 years. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's hard for us to like really be scared about though, or like people kind of laugh at it because it's like can't you just can't imagine like
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
that. But it does feel like maybe it's an issue, but also if it's like controlled and we're doing it by choice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's by choice or like if it's by choice, I think that's a whole nother issue than like we just have a plague that just kills randomly and indiscriminately. Like I think of in terms of plagues, COVID was probably the easiest one because it only really killed old people, right? That like retirees. So it's like you're not really losing valuable work members, right? And the people have I mean you kind of are, but like kind of not,
You got an
right?
extra year out of Social Security because of COVID.
Yeah, exactly, right? But say like you had like a plague that just killed randomly, and like oh, like you lose a president, you lose I don't know, Elon Musk. Yeah, I guess so. I'm kind of thinking like, what is the minimum amount of people the world needs to like function?
Yeah,
Like
it's a good
shipping, logistics, like medicine, roads, doctors, military, just like normal standard baseline of like what we come to expect, or maybe
yeah.
even slightly degraded.
Well, how do you think the world runs? Do you think the world runs like pre-Elon Twitter, where 80% of the people can get cut and it'll still operate okay, or do you think that the world is more of like 80% of people are contributing, 20%? It's hard to tell.
Well, I really don't know, and I think it could be completely. I like if it was one or like any one of those, I'd be like, oh, okay, and like that's such a wide gulf of
I know.
obviously, right? Like, are 80% of the people useful or useless? That's
It's
like
crazy too. Like when I think about it, I'm like, what do I really add that much to the world? Like,
no, but like
really,
kind of,
I consume, which I guess helps.
yeah,
But then you have these people in like working tough jobs in, I don't know, India,
yeah,
and working with like making clothes, like making shit like this.
yeah,
And like they're probably contributing more in a sense. I don't know.
yeah.
It's a weird one. I don't know. It's
Well, but it's like okay, so I think it's like like competition for stuff, right? Like, so if you lose, like, say you just lost the Gap, like anyone employed at the Gap, from retail outlet, clothing manufacturer, um, management, whatever. Like, there's so many other clothing brands that could compete. But like, if you lose, I don't know, like a whole, like, say you lost like everyone involved with the CDC, like I think all like that knowledge to like be like create from scratch, I think it would be very, very difficult to like, I think that would take like 20, 50 years, 20, maybe 20 years. Cause you go to like other countries, like virus and stuff, but like, I know they were doing like some groundbreaking stuff and I don't know, just like knowledge of it, so it's like, I think it's harder, like when there's like less institutions like overlap, I think it's harder to do it, or like the people that like I saw, it's kind of a rambling thing, but there's some tech code that like basically every website uses and it's only managed by like three people. And like so if it went away, like I think every website would just like break, which is kind
nice.
of wild. Yeah. I mean they could probably fix it like in a week or so, but every single like website uses it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. You kind of wonder about like the readiness for like something to happen. I think
yeah.
COVID like makes you kind of like, okay, because we all like to kind of pretend like we can control things and we can.
Yeah,
I
but
think
we kind of can.
where we like to think we're a lot smarter than we are, and we like
Yeah.
kind of can, but we're not great at it. And I think we're
Yeah.
horrible at predicting. I think like
Yeah, I
humans are
agree.
the
I, I,
worst at
I
predicting.
yeah, and I don't think we've ever improved.
No, and like we continuously like think we're getting better. Like I even think I can predict
Yeah.
things, and I'm like not even close to anything.
No.
There's always like other factors going on. I don't know. It just there's way too much like chaos
Randomness. Yeah.
in humans and randomness and like emotions, and it's like weird like small things could change. I don't know.
Everything.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
If someone did it, whether like COVID, whether it's fish market or like, like if someone didn't approve that study, then that could have never happened.
Yeah.
But we also think of like stuff that happens, but like how many terrorist attacks have been thwarted? Probably like at least like 10,000, at least,
I like a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, probably at least 100 level 9/11s.
I keep like hoping or like I want to think that we're protected that well.
I I think we are. I think it's just like there's just a lot of people like because it's kind of like you said, it's like random, right? Prediction. Like you can't arrest people for pre-crime, and there's so many people that probably like, oh, I'm gonna go shoot stuff up, right? Like I'm like probably everyone's made that joke at least once, and then like like FBI, like I mean, all these people. We kind of mentioned this, but like that pretty much every shooter FBI was kind of watching them. I think it's kind of impressive of itself.
The
Like
weird
at
one
least,
was this
yeah.
this one down in New Orleans wasn't, and he like publicly posted about his allegiance to ISIS.
No, I think they were because like I think they said like the wife said like this person's unhinged and like
Um,
stop talking and like I think like people were aware of that, but like so I think people were aware that like he was kind of going out the deep end.
yeah, that was a crazy one. And then
Yeah,
also crazy. Did you see like the New York Post reporter like walked into? Did you see that video?
yeah, with that chick that just like randomly got access to it.
Yeah, like into his house and just like
Yeah,
walked through it, and then it's like, oh, here's this bomb making area. Here's a
yeah.
Koran, and you're like, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
I
when it
don't know.
starts to seem like
And like
set
it
up.
happened like within 24 hours.
I'm like, why would they
Yeah.
let them go in there? Why would they be showing this? Why would they? I
But
don't
you
know.
get that, but like you don't get the manifesto from that Nashville trans shooting for a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but why would you show where uh, bomb making materials for other people?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like
it
that.
feels I don't know, it feels sketch. Like everything like but everything is kind of like sketch in its own way, right? And like there's no rhyme or reason. Like I think we think it's like this big conspiracy or like, oh, it's a cover up for something. Like what would it cover up? Like what would be worse than like like an American like we did it to ourselves, I guess would be worse. Like what? Like we're just
Yeah,
doing it just to do it. But like what would be the reason of the government to just
no, yeah.
yeah, like there's
I
no
think,
really reason for that.
I think the only reason you would maybe people would argue is it's a way to like extract more power.
Oh,
Right?
and like, oh, so we're doing it to like pass a law or like more surveillance capabilities or what have
After
you.
9/11, you get the Patriot Act.
Yeah. But like honestly, I think sad as it is, America just like we just don't care who surveys us. Like whatever.
These are kind
Like
of all
I think
assumed. Yeah.
we've all given up that like our cell phones, I mean, we all know that like they're
We
listening to
agree
our
to everything.
voices. Yeah, they're listening to our voices for Siri and shit. I think I just saw in the news this morning Apple had to pay like $90 million for Siri recording your voices.
Nice.
Yeah. But like the one thing is like the UK where they have all those like cameras everywhere. Like that I kind of don't like. For some reason that
Yeah.
as well with me as like just recording what I do on my phone. Cuz I think it's like I don't know, it feels different in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It feels like less invasive, even though it's
It's
right
like
there.
way more invasive.
I know. Even
Yeah.
though it's literally your entire
Yeah.
life and everything about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And everything you
Every
type. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That's weird to think about. Or
You know
like
what's
even
weird?
China.
I've been like seeing all this stuff on like online about people because there's been a lot of talk recently about England and like
Yeah.
the grooming
Oh,
gangs,
yeah. I was wondering if you're gonna bring that up. Yeah.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
Which okay, I will say this is one of those things where you've kind of like seen on the internet maybe for like 10 years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say you're probably someone that has seen this stuff too,
Yep.
because you and me like we kind of go down these random paths.
Plugged in.
And you see these things and you're kind of like it seems like there's legit stuff behind it. Like,
Yeah.
yes, are there people reacting poorly and like adding fuel to the fire for sure, but there
Uh-huh.
also seems to be like real issues with some of these things,
Yeah.
and but you're kind of like afraid to like ask or say anything
Hmm.
because it's like not really your place. You don't really know. You see it on the internet, and you're just kind of like, I don't know, right?
Hmm.
And I feel
Sure.
like there's a lot of issues, and now all of a sudden, like all these issues are kind of getting brought out into the open, and they're
Yeah.
being talked about, and it's like it's leading to interesting,
Conversations.
a lot of conversation, a lot of like chaotic conversation. I think it's good that at least it's happening, but
Yeah.
it's funny too because then I'll see like a lot of people being like Europe's just going to hell and like all this stuff, and I'm just like, it's kind of like when I see this stuff about like
Hmm.
Chicago's down, it's like, okay, like you obviously don't like live there though.
Yeah.
It's just people just like talk, people just say things from afar. Like it's wild watching people say things so confidently about things they don't know about, I guess.
Yeah. So I think I totally agree with you and like get there, but I think it's like so say like Chicago, like I don't know, 90% of it is pretty good. And then you have like the 5-10% of areas that are like bad or like either areas that are bad or things that happen are bad, you
Yeah.
know? And like I think it kind of to the point where our standards have gotten so high on what we expect. Like we expect everything to be clean, safe, orderly, and perfect. And like that's hasn't happened. That's like only happened in like the last 10 years. Like if you look at like crime, like New York City, in like the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s was a fucking hellhole. Like it was terrible, 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 terrible. And like now it's like pretty safe, you know? And you still see like subway shit. And you have to think like there's, I don't know, 30 million people live in New York City. Maybe not that much. I don't know. But like 30 million. And then you have like one person do a subway thing, you know, like maybe every month, every other month. Like that's, and for statistics, that's pretty fucking good, you know, but like that's a horror, you know?
It's a hard
Um,
thing to tell someone, but it's true.
yeah, you know, and like, or you have Sweden where like everyone is like the same skin color and same ethos and identity. And it's like you're doing society on easy mode. And I think, at least as an American, I think it's kind of funny where it's like, oh, you know, like, and it's not, I don't think it's more really about skin color or religion specifically. I think it's more just like once you have a mixture of people that are different beliefs, different values, different morals, look different, it could be anyone. Like, but like once you try to get those people to live together, that's hard. That's very hard to do. Probably like one of the hardest things for a modern society to do.
Yeah.
In America, like we've had civil wars, right? We have our race issues still, like we're still trying to figure it out. But like I think that's kind of what you have to have is like you have to be honest about it and you have to be willing to like I don't know, like it's kind of like friction. It's like continuous friction, and like that's just what it's like when you live in society that has a lot of different people. That's
Oh, it's a super hard, and I agree 100% with your point. It's like we take on that challenge, and
yeah.
we get accused of being like we're acting like we're like the worst country. It's way worse over here.
No, I think America's probably the least racist country of any country that's ever existed.
I mean, probably.
Because because you actually have to live with people that are different than you. Not like Britain, like until like the '90s, basically no other country was like that ever in human history.
Yeah.
Everyone was like the
It's
same.
kind of wild how not it still is over here.
Yeah.
To be honest. Like it's people like are shocked by like waves of immigration and stuff, but it's like it's actually not that. I think it's just like
Well,
it's more of like
England is getting
yeah,
pretty brown pretty quick,
it's
which
it's more of like the people like the lack of structure for people to do anything
yeah.
when they're coming over. I
And
don't
you
know.
like will never be considered a German or a Briton. Like that idea always kind of like is gross to me that like someone can come, go say they go through all the proper channels and whatever, but then you won't ever consider them a proper, nationality. I think that's uniquely American, something I take for granted. I think that's a beautiful thing. That it's like, all right, come here legally. You're just as American as I am. Good for you. You can't become president, but in any other way, and I think
We
that's
draw
a
the
perfect
line.
system. That's a perfect system. Like, because you have to have something for natives, And I think be like president or like working for. I think it's like to be like NASA or whatever. Like maybe. you have to be born here, like for super top secret shit. I don't know if you have to be born here or just.
Dude, I think they got rid of that stuff.
No, I think it's still a thing. Like you can't. I think you can't be an immigrant, so
Like
you
Elon,
can't.
you
Like
know?
you can't. Yeah. Like okay, so you can't like you can't just be like an H-1B, right? Like have an immigration somewhere else. But even super top secret stuff, I don't know if you can if you're still a citizen. I'm not sure.
I feel like Elon, just like working with rockets and stuff, has to have access to stuff that,
Well, you can hire citizens.
yeah, he actually got sued for not hiring non-citizens.
Yeah. And you like, but you kind of have to, like, for anything, but like SpaceX or
You
whatever,
think
like,
you
well,
think
like,
you would,
like with military application, I think you do, but like, or like whatever it's deemed like national
that's why it
security.
was so crazy. They literally sued
Oh, really?
SpaceX for
Even though
not
it was like forced to do it for
exactly.
the
It
law.
was like the
Uh,
craziest.
yeah, it's dumb. That's super dumb.
It's a good microcosm of the government the last 4 years,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
like just a lot of like wasted things, I feel like, and
bullshit.
just like
Yeah.
just focusing on yeah.
But that's kind of makes me like optimistic because it's like we're still doing all right, pretty all right, even with just enormous amounts of waste.
Yeah, right.
Like enormous. Like you just clean up 10% of that, you know?
Yeah. You just
Yeah.
wonder like, does it I
I mean,
think
it
for
could
me
get worse.
the way to get better is just to grow your way out of it.
Yeah.
Like the prices can actually come down, doubtful, but can you make more money and then things are
Yes.
relatively less? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I feel like that's the way. Like wages just got to grow, companies got to grow, stocks got to grow. We just got
Yeah.
to grow,
Well,
grow ahead.
think like 20 years ago, right? Like Google didn't exist, Facebook, or if they did, they were just, Apple, like all
Yeah,
these like behemoth companies. Like we definitely,
50.
like, I don't know if you've seen that, like a time lapse of like the biggest companies. And it's just like, it's crazy how like all these companies, like, oh, like Sears used to be so big and like Kmart and I don't know,
Mhm.
like JC Penney, like, and it's like now they're like whatever, right?
You think they
Um,
could never fail?
yeah, and like so like there could be a next behemoth company start this right here right now. Probably some of this AI shit. But I don't know. Like AI, like, I've played around with it maybe because like, I just like it seems more for coding and stuff. Um, like I think it's pretty good. Like I've had it do like, like cover letters and stuff, which is like it's kind of incredible how good it is at that. But like in terms of like, transforming the world, like I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I liked AI for like prompting,
Yeah.
like just get ideas like flowing or just like I don't know, giving it a problem and trying to come up with some things. Writing is like the best, yeah, like cover
Yeah.
letters. I was doing like success stories,
Hmm.
um, stuff like that for work, and it was like so easy and it honestly like came out way I was so impressed honestly with how it came out. I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
dude,
it's
it's
like
like
it's like really nicely formatted and shit. And
yeah,
yeah,
like
the
well, it's
formatting, that's like the most annoying part. I'm like, I love that it does that.
yeah. I was like, this is fucking amazing. It looks like I spent a lot of time and
Yeah,
I did like 5 minutes work. I
yeah,
copy paste this bunch of stuff from the website. So
yeah, yeah.
can it actually like yeah, it'll be interesting to see like where it actually goes and how it actually takes jobs and or like
But
creates
I
more
think it
jobs.
only just like, yeah, I think it creates, right? Because it's like, think of all that like mind numbing stuff that you could just shove in there, and I hear like a lot from coding. Like, I think they said Amazon has saved them already like, I don't know, like close to $1 billion worth of coding hours.
Yeah, but
Just, yeah,
so I guess
so
efficiency wise, like that's pretty crazy.
yeah. And like, think of all like, I mean, really, we probably should just like, because like it's never been easier to make an app or a website or a technology company than with this because you don't have to know anything. You can just
Yeah,
do it.
just
Um,
throw some
yeah,
shit out there. I
yeah,
s- I saw this cool video. It was CAD, like the
yeah,
program CAD,
yeah, yeah.
and it was like this new text to prompt. So pretty much they could just like text just like normal layperson speak.
Uh-huh.
It would just like it was a bit like put a 2 inch size circle in the center of the block, and it would
Hmm.
just like perfectly draw it quickly in 2 seconds. So I feel like that's a pretty big game changer for CAD.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for like a lot of stuff. But it's just kind of like, okay, so what?
So now we just get so much done.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you'd hope so. I don't know.
All right.
All right, all right. Anything else left there?
Anything else? Happy Friday, TGIF.
Yeah, TJF. Kind of a fun little week.
Short little week.
Yeah.
Um, Sunday is the arrival of the kings here in Spain, the three kings.
Okay. So
Balthazar,
what do you do for that?
Melchior, and Gaspar. There's a big parade, like a block away from
Oh,
us.
how fun.
So we're gonna go out to the parade Sunday night, check it out. I think it's around 6 o'clock. Should be nice.
Nice, nice.
Um,
Seems like Spain does a lot of parades.
Spain?
Yeah,
Yeah, not
big parade country.
big. Yeah, parading and protesting. They just like getting
Well,
around.
but you have like I don't know. It seems like you have a lot of like little holidays, like town square festival type thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a lot of that. A lot of
That's
like
pretty cool though.
outdoor
Yeah, everyone likes a little
neighborhood
festival.
neighborhood festivals.
What's the weather like there right now?
It's not bad. It's like mid 50s, sunny usually.
Is that like the coldest it'll get?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty heavenly.
It's like 56, 60, 60, 60, 57, 63, 63. Yeah. It just
That's
sucks
like
like that.
perfect.
Yeah, it's honestly really nice. It's amazing how like cold I feel sometimes.
Oh
It's
yeah, like
just
we're gonna get like negative 10 to 20 degrees. I think this upcoming week.
oh damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's just hit like 20 today.
So you're gonna be chilling inside.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always forget like how cold it is over there.
Dude, it's so bad. And like it's like and I forget to, but it's like I realize like I'm just such a baby. Like I mean, but it's cold, right? But like fuck, that's
That's
cold.
yeah, I mean that's pretty damn cold, dude. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like kind of cold when it's like 55 degrees out now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like a lot of things. Like you just become like it just sucks at first, but then you just become used to it, you know? And then it's like whatever. And like I think the nice thing is like we're already past the shortest day of the year, you know? So it's like
Yeah,
it's getting already, you know, like and it feels like it hasn't been too bad, you know?
it's
So
already getting better. I
yeah.
think
And it's like a month or two, right? And then it's
California
fine.
really helps keep it
Yeah.
like the season going.
Yeah.
The playoffs, and then you just got to make it through like
Yeah.
March.
And then like then Augusta happens and then you're good.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
get March Madness,
Yeah.
Augusta.
That's
Yeah,
St. Patty's Day, all that good stuff.
St. Patty's Day.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah. Let's see if
all
we
right.
can figure out how to splice these two together.
Yeah, send them over to me.
All right.
Like
Bye.
and subscribe. Thanks, everyone. We'll have some exhilarating topics next week.
Yeah.
Go Pack.
Yeah.
Go.
Go Pack Go. All
See
right.
you.
See ya. Oops. Okay.